everybody. Welcome to part 2 of our series on writing nonfiction books. Welcome. For those of you who are new to me, I'm Jennifer Blanchard. I'm an author and a book and mindset coach, and I help writers and entrepreneurs who want to get their writing out into the world. So I've been doing a series on writing a nonfiction book. Yesterday we talked about how to tell the difference between a novel, a memoir, and a nonfiction book, because they are different and each one has its own characteristics, and that way you know exactly what type of book you actually want to be writing. And now today we're going to dive deeper into nonfiction writing by talking about how to come up with a really badass idea for your nonfiction book. So if this is something that you have been putting off because you know you really want to write a book, but you don't know what to write it about, then this is going to be the perfect exercises for you. So we're going to do a mini workshop right on this live stream, and I'm going to walk you through how to actually find your idea. So get a notebook or a piece of paper or something you can write on, use your computer or whatever, because I'm going to actually walk you right through this. So I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to grab some paper or something. I don't want to just jump right in, but I'll give you a minute. Hi to anybody who's just jumping on. Say hi if you want to. Let me know where you're watching from. Okay, so get your paper, and then at the top, I want you to basically take your paper and draw 2 lines down it vertically. So think of it like this. See how I've got the 3 lines down? 2 lines down, so it makes 3 columns. So you're gonna basically make 3 columns on your paper. Or if you want, you can, do it this way. It just, however you want to do it, but you have to have 3 separate spaces to brainstorm in. You could use 3 separate pages if you want to, it's up to you. All right, so in the first column at the top, you're gonna write skills that I have, or skills I have. Write that at the top of your first column. Give you a second. Okay, and then in your second column, you're gonna write things I know. So at the top of that second column in the middle, write things I know at the top. And then in the third column at the top, you're gonna write experiences I've had or transformations I've had, either one. Same thing, basically. So just to give you a example, so you've got your 3 columns on your paper. The first one is skills that I have. The middle one is things that I know. And the one on the far right is experiences or transformations that I've made, experiences I've had, or transformations I've made. Okay, now in each of these columns, you're gonna brainstorm everything you can think of that relates to what's written there. So in the first column, you're gonna list all the skills that you have. Now, when I say skills, I basically mean anything that you enjoy doing that you're good at. So that could be anything. It's totally up to you. For me, that would be things like writing, cooking gluten-free food, teaching people stuff. So just anything you can think of that you have skills in. And I'm going to actually set a timer. Because like I said, this is going to be a live workshop right now. We're going to actually brainstorm right now. Okay, so I'm setting my timer for 1 minute. And I want you to just brainstorm in the left column all the skills that you have. Again, skills being things you enjoy doing and that you're good at. Go. 1 minute. And I'm going to make my list with you. About 30 more seconds. For anyone who's just hopping on, we are brainstorming a list of skills that we have. So just make a list right now of all the skills you have that you can think of. Skills being stuff you enjoy doing and that you're good at. So not just stuff you're good at but that you don't like doing, but stuff you actually like doing. This is important, by the way. About 5 more seconds to wrap it up. And you can always come back and watch this replay later. Pause it and actually take more time making your list. But for the purposes of the live stream and the fact that my voice is getting a little dry from the fact that I've been live streaming for the last 2 hours, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. So, all right, that's your skills you have. Okay, so now you're going to move over to the second column, which is things you know. So another minute on the timer. Brainstorm all the things you know. Now, this is going to sound strange because we know a lot of stuff, but I mean things you know really well. So stuff you feel like it's like second nature to you, you know it like the back of your hand. What stuff is that? For me, that would be writing, it would be law of attraction stuff, it would be cooking gluten-free food, things like that. So for you, what do you know like the back of your hand that you could do in your sleep because it's so easy for you at this point? Brainstorm your list. About 15 more seconds. All right, see a few more people jumping on, so just to give you the exercise that we're doing. So we've just taken a piece of paper and we've made 3 columns. So grab a piece of paper and just make 3 columns in it. The left column is skills that I have, the middle is things that I know like the back of my hand, and the column on the right is experiences I've had or transformations I've made. We just went through the first 2 columns and brainstormed, and now we're going to brainstorm on the 3rd column, which is experiences I've had and or transformations I've made. So looking at your life and just looking at what things have you experienced and overcome, what situations have you been in that you came out the other side victorious, just thinking about all that stuff experience-wise. I'm going to set the timer again for a minute, and you're going to brainstorm any experiences or transformations you've made in your life, and then we'll talk about what to do with these ideas. Go. About 20 more seconds to list out your experiences and transformations. And if anyone wants to share any of the stuff that you've put in either of the 3 lists, so skills you have, things you know like the back of your hand, or experiences you've had, feel free to share in the comments. Okay, now you have 3 lists, and like I said, you might want to come back to this live stream, watch it again, pause and actually do the brainstorm a little bit longer than just a minute, but this is just for the purposes of the live stream so that it can be like a mini workshop, but that we're not here forever. So we just went through all 3 of the columns, so skills I have, things I know like the back of my hand, and experiences I've had or transformations that I've gone through. Okay, so now you have your 3 lists. So you could just look at these 3 lists and you could pull ideas from it for your nonfiction book. So for example, I could look at skills that I have. Oh, I look at my list and I see productivity on there. I have great productivity skills. I'm great at teaching people how to be productive. I'm great at being productive and getting shit done. Okay, right there I have a nonfiction book idea. I could write a productivity book. Okay, then let's get more specific. Okay, I could write a productivity book for writers. I could write one for busy moms. I could write one, if I was a mom, I wouldn't do that because it's not really aligned with me. But if I was a mom, I could write one for busy moms. I could write a productivity book for entrepreneurs. I could write one for whoever. So it's right there, I've already got 4 book ideas. Then I could look even more at the list and go productivity. Okay, that breaks down into categories. So actually going deeper on that skill set. What is productivity? Well, it's getting shit done. How do you get shit done? So I could write an entire book just on how to get shit done. That would be 1. 2, well, productivity a lot of times is habit building. So, okay, there you go. Book number 2, I could write about habit building and write a book for people who want to build better habits. So it's going through these lists now and even breaking them down further and saying, okay, if my skill is writing, what can I actually write about using that skill? So maybe, I write writing books. So I have a lot of books that I've published that are about how to be a writer, how to be successful as a writer, how to be, more productive, how to get your habits aligned, all that stuff. So that's just one of my skill sets that I could use to write a nonfiction book. So it's looking at all 3 of your lists and breaking them down more. So for example, in my experiences list, I have that I quit my job. So that's a transformation that I made. I quit my day job, took my business full time, and now here I am 6 years later working full time for myself. So that right there could be a book. How to quit your job and create your dream business. Or I could break it down into multiple books and have, one on how to quit your job, all the stuff you need to do to prepare for it, and what to do after you do quit, and what you should do before you quit, and all that stuff goes into that book. And then I might do one on how to start your dream business, which relates to quitting your job, or how to have a side hustle while you're still working your job. So lots of different things you can come up with from that one idea or experience of quitting your job. So look at your own lists and look at the things you wrote down, and then play with these ideas. What else could I talk about related to this? What, categories could I pull out of, okay, law of attraction, that's a skill that I have, or excuse me, that's, what I know, that's a knowledge that I have. Well, that's a huge, broad category and a broad topic. So how can I narrow that down into something more specific? So the thing that I recommend with nonfiction books is that you don't try to write everything there is to know about that topic in one book. I know a lot of people do that, and it's fine. It's one way of doing it. I don't recommend it. What I recommend is picking one result. So one end result that the person could get from reading your book, and then actually focus your book on that. So then you're not giving us everything there is to know about law of attraction or whatever topic you're choosing, but you're giving us one specific thing. So if law of attraction, for example, was your topic, well, how could you break that down? Okay, well, the first thing would be teaching people how to manifest. That could be a separate topic. Then another one could be, how to believe new things. So maybe if you have limiting beliefs, you have to create new beliefs in order to actually make the law of attraction work for you in the way you want it to. So that could be another book. And the whole thing is that that's the end result. The end result isn't you'll know more about law of attraction, which is kind of a very, very vague end result, but your end result would be you'll learn how to transform your belief system. You'll learn how to create new beliefs or overcome limiting beliefs. That's the one result you'll get from reading this book. And then you focus everything on that. So that's some ways to play with these ideas of what you already know, skills you already have, experiences and transformations you've already gone through, to use that as fuel for your nonfiction book. Now, the fourth exercise we're going to do right now is called intersections and connections. So that's when you look at these three categories that we just listed out, so all the stuff we just brainstormed, and then you actually ask yourself, where do some of these intersect? Or where are there connections that I could make from, let's say, a skill I have with an experience that I've had, or something I know and an experience that I've been through? And looking at different ways where you could create a unique connection or intersection and bring something totally unique to the table that maybe there's no other books about that topic. Or there's books in that same topic, but you're coming up with a version of it that's much more unique than what's already out there. So looking at that, let's just take a minute, and then I'll give you guys some examples, but I want to just give you a minute to try this on your own first. Okay, so 1 minute, look at your three lists, and then I just want you to take another, brainstorm additional ways that you could intersect or connect these things that you already have listed out. And I'm going to go shut the timer off that's beeping because it's not going to stop beeping. Okay. That was loud. That was not our timer. That was a different timer. All right, that was our timer. Okay, so again, you're probably going to want to come back to this, especially the intersections and connections piece, because I think that does take more time to sort of look at all of your lists and sort of look at what do I really have, what would actually connect. But here are some ideas from my list. So one of my skills, like I said, is productivity. I'm really badass at being productive, at helping people be more productive. So combining that with something I know, law of attraction, I could do a productivity book using law of attraction. So how to use law of attraction to be more productive. I could do one on using law of attraction to quit your job. So an experience I've had is that I quit my day job. So That could be another book, is Using Law of Attraction to Quit Your Day Job. There's 2 connections that I just made from skills and things that I know with an experience that I've had. So go back through your list and really look at where are some places where things intersect, because that could be a really great place for you to find your nonfiction book idea and for you to have lots of ideas. I mean, as you can already see just from the stuff I've mentioned on this live stream, like there's like 10 book ideas I had just from the stuff I talked about. So imagine how many more there probably are. Spend some time on this, write your lists out, do this exercise multiple times. You'll find yourself a really good nonfiction book idea. And then what's cool about it is that if you do the intersections and connections piece, you could also find an angle for your book that's much more unique, that makes you stand out, that makes you different. So try these exercises again. Like I said, watch the replay, pause along the way so you can actually do the exercises and see what comes up. Because when you start to think about this stuff and start to look at the things you already know, the skills you already have, the experiences you've already been through, well, you're just basically full of ideas and fodder for good books. And that's the whole thing, is I feel like a lot of times we discount the stuff we already know, we discount the skills we have or the things we've been through because we already did that. It's easy for us. It's no big deal. But to somebody else, it's huge. Like somebody else who has no idea how to be productive and you're like the productivity machine, well, you have something super valuable that that person could use. So you could write a nonfiction book that speaks to them and helps them with their productivity issues. Now, nonfiction books, like we talked about in our training yesterday, are mostly how-to books or self-help books. So really showing people how to do something or how to make something happen. They don't have to be just that. So you could also have a combination where you have memoir sort of tied into it. So you're sharing a little bit of your journey and your story, but then tying it into this is how you use what I've learned in your own life. So the thing I always say about nonfiction is making sure that it's super valuable. So some of the worst nonfiction books are the ones that just give you information but don't actually show you how to implement. And there are tons of them out there. So they give you a ton of information about a certain topic. Great, because you needed to know that stuff. But the most important piece, the piece that actually bridges the gap between the information and you actually having that experience or that result in your life, is the implementation. And it's always missing. So I always like to think about that when I'm writing a nonfiction book is, what am I writing about? What's my topic? What am I focusing on? But then also, how can I bridge the gap between what I'm going to teach them and them actually implementing it in their own lives? Because for me, that's the whole point of writing nonfiction, is that people are going to get help because of it. They're going to change their lives because of it. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, what's the point? Nonfiction is there to help people do stuff. People who want to learn how to do things or who have some sort of an issue that they're dealing with that they want to overcome. If you've been through a transformation, there are plenty of people out there who want that same transformation. So maybe you transformed from, like I did, being a massive, massive procrastinating writer who literally would put everything before their writing, to where I am now, where writing is the most important thing that I do all day. I do it first thing in the morning before I do anything else. And that wasn't my experience, 10 years ago. But now I'm a totally different writer. So that transformation is valuable to somebody who's still back where I was, in 2008, struggling, not knowing how to get started, not knowing how to be productive. So that's a huge thing. And so think about the transformations you've been through in your own life, things that you achieved, that you wanted, that you made happen. That is valuable for a nonfiction book. That's something that a reader would connect with and get a great experience from and just feel like, yes, this helped me. And, and that's the whole point. So, that is how to brainstorm a badass nonfiction book idea. Like I said, I would highly recommend going back through this training and just brainstorming along the way, pausing the video so you actually have more time to brainstorm each of the pieces that I talked about. But then, once you've got all these ideas, and you're going to have a lot of them if you actually go through this properly, then you just want to go through and ask yourself, first of all, what jumps out at you as this is the idea that stands out to me? Like, this is something I want to write. There probably will be a few of them, because that always happens to me too, is I'll look at my list and be like, man, I would love to write that book and that book and that book. Okay, well, number one, you just gave yourself 3 book ideas of what you actually could write now. You don't have to use every idea you come up with. It's just coming up with as many as you can think of and then looking at what you come up with and feeling out for what feels like the best one for you at this moment. So I like to do that first. Which ones jump out at me as I would love to write this? I circle those. And then I ask myself the next layer of question, which most writers skip, so don't skip this part, is once you've got your 3 or 4 ideas, what would my readers want to read? So once you've got 3 or 4 ideas that you would actually like to write, so you're not picking stuff that you're like, oh, that's boring, because the thing that people do backwards is they think about the reader first. Oh, I have to think about my reader, I have to decide what they want and write that book. Now that's not completely untrue, because you do have to think about your reader, but you also have to think about yourself, because number one, you're the one who has to do the work to actually write the book and stick with it and go all the way and finish. So you have to actually want to write about the thing and actually be passionate about it. But also because if you're not writing for yourself, then why bother? Like, writing is something to do because it feels good to you, not just for, to make a result happen. Now, of course, that's a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. So first, look at your ideas, choose the ones that feel the best to you, and then think about, okay, out of these 3 or 4 ideas, what do I think my readers would most enjoy? And then pick that one, and that's the book you write. And then, of course, you can go back to this list later and write other stuff. So that is it for today's training on how to find a badass nonfiction book idea. I hope it was helpful. I know a lot of you are going to watch this as a replay because I'm going to send it out to my email list. So if you are watching as a replay and you have questions, just put them in the comments because I will come back and check them. And if you want even more stuff, so once you come up with your book idea, if you want to know how to outline it, then stick around because tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time, I am going to be doing a 3rd free training on how to outline your nonfiction ebook. So do this exercise today, pick your idea out, and then tomorrow meet me back here at 5 p.m. Central so that you can outline your book. And if you want to go even further and not just outline, but you actually want to write and publish your book, then be sure to check out my upcoming workshop that's happening starting March 19th. It's called Write and Publish Your Nonfiction Ebook in 10 days. Sounds crazy, I know, but it actually works, and I've got a bunch of testimonials to show you other students who went through the workshop and published their books. So go to jenniferblanchard.net/10 days to check it out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.